Welcome back, everyone. Dustin here again, Average Guy Hi-Fi. I've got another great review. I seem to say that every time, but I've just been picking up some really cool secondhand audio gear here around the Seattle area, and it's been a lot of fun the past week. So this guy right here is the Sunfire HRS-12 subwoofer. So this is a 13.5-inch. Roughly, I mean, it's about a square, about 13.5 inches, depending if you count the driver, because it actually does kind of extend out past the box quite a bit there. So this is a 12-inch sealed subwoofer. It comes with a 1,000 watt RMS amplifier, so it definitely means business. When you go to pick this thing up for its size, you're kind of surprised. I mean, they say it weighs about the same as the Martin Logan Abyss subwoofers that I reviewed, but I think that this one's heavier. The cabinet just feels a little bit more dense. That's not a negative on the Martin Logan. I think that the Abyss is just a fantastic subwoofer, but this right here kind of takes the deep extension. They say down to 18 hertz. For a little subwoofer like that, that's insane. I don't know. I can never turn it up to really kind of be able to tell if it's going to ever dig that deep, or at least I don't want to. My listening habits, things like that. But noticeable difference between this subwoofer and the Abyss when it came to the real deep stuff. The kind of punchy bass and things like that, they were probably pretty similar. So it's a 12-inch. This is a proprietary subwoofer for Sunfire. It has a massive, it's probably hard to tell, but it has a really massive surround, and it just has a ton of excursion. I put it in there in place of the Abyss that I was reviewing for you guys, and this right here picked up a bunch of new rattles in my room, if that kind of tells you anything. And it usually does. You know, if I've had some pretty incredible subwoofers over my time, and as you kind of swap out one that's maybe a little bit less for one that's a little bit more powerful, that more powerful subwoofer will kind of find those room vibrations. So I just spent a little bit of time getting that all sorted out. But for its size, it's an amazing subwoofer. Duals of these in a normal size living room, or like a kind of your average home theater room, would probably do you very well. Now, obviously, it's not designed to keep with the big JTR, the big PSAs, the big rhythmic subwoofers, those type of things. But this right here can go under a coffee table. It can go up in between your towers. It could be a nice part of a 2-channel system, not take up too much space. But honestly, the bass from this thing is very, very high quality. It's deep. I read up the reviews and everything online too last night doing my research, and it's just kind of lived up to those expectations. I have been listening to it for a little while now, so it was one of those pieces where I was planning on keeping it, but I just realized to keep up the content and make these videos, I have to let things go, even when I really like them. So I mentioned that I grabbed this to a friend of mine here locally, and he's really excited to come grab it. So he's probably going to make it over here tonight, I would assume, after I'm done shooting this video. I'll be sad to see it go, but it's going to a good home. So it's just one of those things where I can't keep collecting gear. I'm only in 700 square feet, so I'll look like a hoarder with surrounded by speakers if I keep stuff. So I have to force myself to sell things. Anyway, just wanted to explain that to you because this one almost made the cut for a keeper piece. So I do have a rhythmic FV15 HP in storage. That's kind of my if I ever move out and get an actual house, then that'll be the subwoofer that I unleash, and probably add another one of those down the road if they're available still when hopefully I'll buy a house soon, but down the road, you don't know with the economy, the way it's going and everything, but I'm keeping that thing in storage. That's kind of my kind of top shelf subwoofer that I've owned. But I've owned hundreds of subwoofers. So this guy right here, again, almost made the cut and almost kept it. So stay tuned. I'm going to pop over there and put on Mad Max Fury Road in 4K. I just swapped out the Blu-ray version of that movie for the 4K version, and it's just the sound, the visuals, everything. It's just the 4K really sets it off, especially with that OLED LG C9 65-inch TV. Just phenomenal picture. So it's making me watch more movies over and over again, even if I'm not necessarily in the mood for the visuals and the sound effects. So we'll pop over there, we'll put that movie on, I'll show you the excursion, then we'll pop back over here, and I'll give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi score. Stay tuned. Okay, just got the Sunfire HRS-12 all set up. I'm using the Elan THP 650 LS front 3 speakers, and then I've also got the Elan THP 525 LS speakers for the surrounds. But since we're focusing on the Sunfire subwoofer, I wanted to put on a movie that had some really good bass scenes. So we put on Mad Max Fury Road. I've put this one in my other subwoofer videos. This seems to be one of my favorites with Tron when it comes to testing out subwoofers. So got it all tuned in and everything. The bass knob isn't turned up. I don't have the subwoofer running really hot or anything like that. This place is pretty small, so this thing pressurizes this room with no problem. So we'll just jump right into it, show you this subwoofer in action, and then we'll pop over there and I'll give you guys the average guy hi-fi score. Here we go.
You fell! You tried to live!
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that demo. Before I get into the average guy hi-fi score of this subwoofer, but spoiler alert, it scored very well when it comes to my scoring. So I want to give a special shout out to Youthman. He threw out my name and the name of my channel in his latest video, and he's kind of been helping me behind the scenes. It seems to he's just a very nice guy, very knowledgeable, willing to help people. So shout out to Youthman. If you guys haven't already, I've already mentioned him in my previous videos, but please subscribe to his channel. I mean, I'm kind of doing the entry-level stuff. He's dealing with the big boy stuff, but he has a bunch of great videos on Odyssey. He has some wonderful JTR subwoofers that he's just been rocking. He's got 3 La Scalas across the front in his home theater, so it's kind of what I'm striving for. Obviously, my editing isn't good as his or anything like that, but you know, that's how you start. I'm just starting off. I'm documenting this journey, so I hope you guys stick around for it. So we'll just jump right into the average guy hi-fi score section of the video. So again, there's 5 categories. There's quality. There is the bass when it comes to subwoofers. There is the MSRP pricing. There's the aesthetics, and there's also my price paid. Each category is worth 10 points. We average it out, and then I give you guys a percentage of the average guy hi-fi score. So we'll just jump right into it. We'll start off with the quality. This subwoofer here is just, as soon as you go to pick it up, it's very stout. You can tell that this thing just is made with the intention of having it be a very compact, high-quality subwoofer, and it just definitely does that in spades. So gave it an 8.5 out of 10. The gloss black cabinet's beautiful. The cabinet itself is very dense feeling. The surround on the subwoofer, you know, you look at it, you can just tell it means business. Some people have asked me, I just put these little dots on there for the excursion videos so you guys can actually see it move around a little bit. Sometimes it gets a little lost in translation with the black woofer and the black box and all that stuff. So anyway, quality, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Very good score there. When it comes to the bass response, which most people, this is what you buy subwoofers for, I gave it a 9 out of 10. So just top marks when it comes to bass response. It's punchy, it's got the deep stuff that just anything I could ever ask for. Again, I'm in 700 square feet here, so it's this is overkill for that. But if somebody has a living room theater and you need to tuck something away, this will give you the nice quality bass and not take up a whole big space in your living room. We'll move on to the MSRP pricing. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Still a very good score. The problem is this subwoofer is $1,100. So that's not really a problem. That's a very good price for a subwoofer, especially considering you probably spend at least double this, double that price to get something that performs as similar to it, depending on what brand you're going with. But there are the companies out there like SVS, Rhythmic, PSA that make $1,000 subwoofers that will have more output. But with that said, will they have as much output in such a small package? That it's a little bit harder to determine that. So when it comes to the MSRP rating, I gave it an 8 out of 10. When it comes to the aesthetics, I gave it an 8.5. I love gloss black. A lot of people complain about it, especially in dedicated theater rooms, because the gloss black will put off reflections, but it's just a very high quality paint job on this subwoofer. So it looks beautiful. I'm not necessarily a fan of these beveled edges right there. Let's see if I can get you guys to see that. That right there. I mean, that's just a personal preference, but I would almost rather have it be just squared off. But I'd imagine that it's harder to damage these beveled corners than it would be to have like the sharp edges like it was with the Martin Logan Abyss. So when it comes to the aesthetics, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I love this big, thick surround. I think that looks wonderful. It would look better if it was a rubber surround, but that's being a little bit nitpicky. I just want it to function good and look good, and it definitely does that. 8.5 when it comes to the aesthetics. When it comes to my price paid, if I paid around that $350, $400 range, depending on what I sell those other speakers for, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10 when it comes to what I paid. I've had better deals out there. That little dynamo that I picked up for $80 was one of those, but this right here for $350, $400 range, I mean, it still sells in stores for $1,100. So it's a smoking deal. In fact, my friend already wants to buy this from me, so I'll be probably finish this review, and then I'll basically we're doing porch drop off. So he leaves the money under the mat, and I'll leave the subwoofer for him because we're still dealing with the coronavirus, social distancing, and things like that. So that's kind of been the way a lot of people have been buying speakers off me, and I've been buying speakers, just trying to keep everybody safe. So, but anyway, when it comes to the price paid, 8.5 out of 10. Already got it sold for the money that I got into it. Again, I might have ended up keeping this thing, but then I'll turn into a speaker hoarder, and with 700 square feet, it restricts me from doing that. So what does that all average out to? It's 42 out of 50, which is 84%. This is one of the highest subwoofers that I've ever reviewed. So the average guy HiFi score is 84%. Very, very solid performing subwoofer. Sunfire seems to be a wonderful brand out there. Good customer service. They have a good reputation. This is the second one or third, I'm not really sure, over the years, but that I've owned from their products. Never had any issues with them. They seem to function just the way they are intended. And then they just perform very, very well in small packages. So I especially like subwoofers with passive radiators built into them. So, I've always wanted SVS and those type of brands to adapt that style, at least on one of them. Maybe test the market with a passive radiator SVS. I might be a consumer on that. But anyway, so back to this one. This is 84%, very high score. I love doing this stuff. So if you guys are enjoying these videos, which it seems, with the Youth Man plug, I gained like 100 subscribers in a day, which is, usually I'm kind of floating around that 4 to 5 subscribers. So my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2020, and I'm definitely on pace to beat that, which is ahead of normal channels out there. So that's why I put that subscriber count in the bottom, just so you guys can follow along and see how the channel's progressing. And again, if you guys have some advice for me, if you want me to do something a little different, I'm flexible. This is still new to me. I've been doing it about 2 months now, a little over 2 months. So I'm open to criticism, as long as you're nice about it, and suggestions. I'll definitely see if I can integrate something that you recommend into my videos. So thank you again. My name is Dustin. Average Guy HiFi is the name of the channel, and hope to see you guys the next video. I have a lot more contact. In fact, when I was making that video, my Klipsch RP600M gloss black bookshelf speakers were delivered. So luckily I didn't have the bass turned up too loud so I can hear him knocking on my door, because it was a signature only delivery. So that'll be coming up here next.